You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Netroots Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button on our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for the week of November 7th, 2025. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where...
This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal. And very first thing right out of the box, happy 21st blogiversary to my amazing wife, the amazing Fran Blue Gal. 21 years doing this. 21
years at the coalface, as Driftglass often says. Yeah.
Just and you know, every day. I mean, you know, if you're not writing every day, you're certainly researching or thinking or doing politics or doing postcards to voters.
Yeah.
And you know, you are my inspiration.
Oh, you're mine too. And this is Driftglass's number 5 podcast of the week.
That's true. This is my 5th.
So we did a podcast on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, you and I were on with Bob Cesca.
Yeah, delightful.
Which was wonderful. And you can see us on video.
We went video. We went fully live.
Yeah, there's some video clips at Bob Cesca's Instagram and at Blue Sky. Those are the ones I've seen so far.
Uh-huh.
And we had a great time with Bob.
We did.
Very good conversation.
We did. And then
you were on, right?
Nicole Sandler
that afternoon.
And we had a fine time talking about all the wonderful things that are happening in the Democratic universe and what to look out for and trends and so forth.
That was a post-election show.
That was. And then today.
Was I on the air when I was talking with Brad?
I don't think you were, but you were there. You were there and you came in hot. You came in loaded with facts. Here's a whole bunch of facts you should know about.
Yeah.
And I said, Brad, you should really, she's the smart one, Brad. I'm here for color commentary. And
both of them said, why aren't we having Blue Gal on our show?
I couldn't agree more.
I wanted to hand you the numbers from our, what our insurance is going to cost. And you can go see that over at our Patreon page. I put up at Blue Sky.
Yeah.
The difference between what we're paying this year and falling off the subsidy cliff, and we're going to pay almost $3,000 a month for health insurance for just 2 people, me and youngest child.
So I've graduated.
Yes, you graduated to Medicare, but I haven't yet. And I researched this. It turns out Southern Illinois is being hit very, very hard.
Explain why. Go ahead. Explain why.
Yeah, because we have so many people in Southern Illinois who are on Medicaid.
Right.
The state has done its job in making sure that people that qualify for Medicaid sign up for it and get it. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, and as a result of the big, beautiful bill that Trump and the Republicans passed, a lot of these people are going to lose their health care, and the healthcare industry has to make up the funding somehow.
Yep.
So they are charging people who, are 400%. And I mean, we are at, we are so close to that cliff, and it's just killing us. But we're over it. And we are going to have to pay, $2,756 or something like that per month as of this moment, unless Congress does their job. I did write to, via their web portals, I wrote to Senator Durbin and Senator Duckworth and said, do not cave. I do not trust Republicans in any way.
Right.
They've tried. They voted to take away my health insurance 70 times.
Right.
And this idea of we promise we'll have a vote, that doesn't get me my health insurance.
Bullshit. Don't want not one step back. One step back on this stuff. And I know that's from World War II and not a very good source, but the attitude, and it seems to be the attitude of Democrats now, is absolutely that, which is like, no, with this blue tsunami. Well, let's talk about the blue tsunami.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is our first show. as the Professional Left podcast since the Blue Tsunami happened on Tuesday night.
Yep.
I think we're both sleeping a little bit better and a wee bit happier, although, you and I are such old warriors at this that
I know.
One good night of battle is good, and we're glad for it.
Right.
And we'll raise a glass of mead, but it's on to the next fight.
As I reminded I didn't need to remind them, but I brought it back up because Digby was there too. All these people we dealt with are old school bloggers.
Yeah, right.
I said, we raised a glass to Ned Lamont when he was the candidate, and then we went, oh fuck, when the entire Democratic establishment swarmed around Joe Lieberman, and got his ass elected. Right. So
as an independent,
and so you take your victories when you get them, and we had a victory. We had an unambiguous victory.
This was an amazing night, and there's no watering that down. Mm-hmm. And I do see it having huge ripples already at SCOTUS. The Supreme Court is now asking, if we give power to a president, does that mean that lasts forever?
Yeah.
Because we only want unitary executive for Republican presidents.
Right. Can we do that? Can we write that into the law? No. Yeah.
So, Gorsuch is asking those kind of questions, and he's right to do it because the next Democratic president is going to have all the power that you gave to Trump.
That's right.
And whether and I think it's going to be...
Or she. I think we'll say he or she. Yeah.
But whether that president decides, I'll just take that power and write a few EOs at this point to fix some things. Mm-hmm. He or she is certainly within their rights to do so, given what the Supreme Court's done.
Mm-hmm. So,
as I said on Bob Cesca, a little bit of fascism, just to teach him a lesson.
Yeah. Well, and as I remind people that before we got to the with charity towards all and malice towards none part of the game,
right?
Lincoln first had to destroy the Confederacy,
right,
and root them out as thoroughly as humanly possible. And then we got to the unity part and the Reconstruction part, and let's all get back together again part.
Right.
But anyway, I'm stepping on your.
That's okay.
Champagne is.
The point is, we're not popping lots and lots of champagne at this point, and we are not also getting ready for Nuremberg trials for Trump's henchmen yet.
Not yet.
But to quote Churchill,
this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning.
So there is a whole lot to be grateful for. There is so much hard work that went into this by people we will never meet, not to feel a little bit overwhelmed by how many of us there are out there and how very much not down for the count we are. So we ask ourselves this a couple of days after that election. What are we learning, Blue Gal? Let's talk about what we are learning. We are learning that the Dems in disarray pundits and the Dems must pivot right pundits probably had their doomsday obituaries already written. And when Democrats started winning everywhere with blowout numbers, they had to scramble.
Yep. For example, leading up to the election, once it became fairly clear that Mamdani was probably going to win, the opposition from everywhere started throwing everything in the rotten racist toolkit against him. It was despicable.
Yeah. Yep. And predictable.
Yeah. When I'm sure they had that ready all along.
Sure.
And maybe they were just going to wait till the last minute, but it was pretty awful.
Yeah.
The slightly more elevated pundits began front-loading their post-election predictions with all the same shit you heard about Bill Clinton and his mandate to govern.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't win a majority, then we don't have to listen to him or his voters.
Right. He didn't win the majority. He's not my president.
Right. Well, Mamdani got over 50% of the vote.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the Wall Street Journal had this to say, quote, "Election wins Tuesday won't ease a divided Democratic Party's troubles."
Oh, no.
Victories by New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani and centrists in Virginia and New Jersey would be unlikely to settle the path forward.
That's right. Because there's only one path forward.
There's only one path. There's only one whole election nationwide. That's it.
Everything is the same. This is from Ross Douthat at the New York fucking Times. Quote, Mamdani's victory is less significant than you think. You don't know what I think, asshole. New York's next mayor won't save the Democrats, unquote.
The Chiron on Laura Ingram's show, which had Vivek Ramaswamy on it, is going to win a Crookie Award this year for just the most astonishing Chiron of the year. Mm-hmm. Quote, by winning, Democrats are actually losing.
Yeah.
Unquote. And,
way to go, man.
Fox News viewer has to masturbate to something.
Right.
And speaking of Vivek Ramaswamy, he did some serious analysis and soul-searching the morning after the election.
We got our asses handed to us. In New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City, Democrats swept all three. There's two key lessons for Republicans. Listen carefully. Number one, our side needs to focus on affordability. Make the American dream affordable. Bring down costs, electric costs, grocery costs, healthcare costs, and housing costs, and lay out how we're going to do it. And number two, cut out the identity politics. It doesn't suit Republicans. It's not for us. That's the woke left's game, not ours. We don't care about the color of your skin or your religion. We care about the content of your character. That's who we are.
Yeah, I say if Vivek Ramaswamy wants to encourage Republicans to run on Zohran Mamdani's platform, go for it, man. Go for it. Do it all. Watch how that works. And by the way, I would like you to take that bright, beautiful message of color of skin and content of character to all of your white nationalist Nazi friends inside your party and tell them all about how we don't judge people on the basis of religion or the basis of their skin color, and just see how that works. I like to do that, you to do that publicly. Now, to be clear, Democrats are in no more disarray than your Thanksgiving dinner is in disarray. At our home, no one is going to look at our table groaning under the variety of all this different food we have. We're going to have turkey and vegan turkey and my world-famous mashed potatoes, which take hours to prepare. Mm-hmm. And I always get requests months in advance. And then there's stuffing and vegan mac and cheese. We're going to have vegan mac and cheese and cranberry sauce, and I'm going to roast some Brussels sprouts and who knows what else. No one looks at all that and thinks, oh my God, we're doomed. Yeah. Oh my God, we're going to starve, because it's not all one thing. It's a bunch of different things. And some people might want tofurkey and taters, and other people might want turkey and cranberry sauce. And everyone, of course, loves sandwiches from leftovers the next day, especially with gravy. Oh, delicious
and
gravy.
Driftglass has to make vegan potatoes, and then he makes the ones with the sour cream, and they're
That's
so
right.
good.
Everybody gets their stuff. Yeah. Uniformity, boys and girls, you all know this uniformity is not a fucking blessing. It is a straitjacket. And we have a party tent big enough for Zohran Mamdani and Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill, which is also big enough for Sharon Owens and Dorsey Apliers, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, who were just elected the first black mayors of Syracuse and Albany. But you know who there is no room for in our very big tent? Creeps like Illinois' own crazy Mary Nazi Miller, whose reaction to Tuesday's blue tsunami was this, quote, Democrats have made it crystal clear they'll block pay and assistance for struggling American families unless taxpayer-funded health care is handed to illegal aliens, unquote. So fuck you, Mary Miller.
Fuck you, Mary Miller.
Yeah.
No, by the way, no one from south of the border is coming to the United States for health care.
No. And no one's coming from Germany either.
No. And old people in Arizona and New Mexico and Southern California drive to Mexico to get cheaper drugs.
Yeah. Well, that's not what Mary Miller knows. Mary Miller knows
Miller's
best.
an asshole.
Yeah. Well.
But speaking of Nazis, wasn't that a nice segue, Driftglass?
Very subtle. Yeah. Very, very good and subtle.
Let's talk about this story in Wired. Quote, the GOP civil war over Nick Fuentes has just begun.
Ooh, disarray.
We've only just begun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, as Martin Short's Jiminy Glick put it to Mel Brooks,
what's your big beef with the Nazis?
What's my big beef?
Yes, it seems like you're always
What's
knocking.
my big beef
Everything
with the Nazis?
you're always knocking the Nazis. Oh, it's time for Mel Brooks to knock the Nazis, it seems.
Oh, I don't know. I think they're rude.
I guess.
This is Wired again. Quote, Tucker Carlson's friendly interview with white nationalist Nick Fuentes has led to a major reckoning in the Republican Party. Nick Fuentes, a white nationalist known for his deeply anti-Semitic, racist, and misogynist worldview, might just be tearing the Republican Party apart. This schism was triggered last Tuesday when former Fox News host Tucker Carlson released an in-depth interview with Fuentes, the leader of the so-called America First movement who has denied the Holocaust, praised Hitler, and shared deeply misogynistic views. During the interview, Fuentes waxed anti-Semitic about the threat apparently posed by, quote, organized Jewry, unquote, in America. While Carlson slammed figures like Senator Ted Cruz and former President George W. Bush as being Christian Zionists who have been seized by this brain virus. Isn't that special?
Very special.
Carlson was criticized by, among others, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee, who's, kind of a Christian Zionist.
Yeah.
I think he'd accept that label.
That's his thing.
Yeah. For giving Fuentes a platform. And the argument kicked into overdrive after Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation, a high-profile conservative think tank, condemned those attacking Carlson as venomous coalition.
Wow.
All this venom.
So angry. Why is everyone so angry?
Tucker Carlson remains and always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation, Roberts said in a video posted to X on Thursday. Unquote. Why can't mommy and daddy just get along, Driftglass?
Yeah, like the Democrats do. Then came the reaction, which was hilarious. It wasn't the most hilarious reaction of all. And I don't mean like haha funny. I mean dark comedy funny.
Yeah.
But the most hilarious reaction of all, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's start with Ted Cruz speaking before the Republican Jewish Coalition Conference in Las Vegas last Thursday, hours after Roberts' video was released. This is Ted Cruz. Quote, in the last 6 months, I've seen more anti-Semitism on the right than I have in my entire life. If you sit there with someone who says Adolf Hitler was very, very cool and that their mission is to combat and defeat global Jewry, and you say nothing, then you're a coward and you're complicit in that evil, unquote. Ooh, harsh words from Ted Cruz.
Gee, Driftglass, we could have spent Tuesday at the Republican Jewish Coalition Conference in Las Vegas.
Yeah. I called in sick from that, Blue Gal.
Me too.
Yeah.
Senator Mitch McConnell wrote on X that conservatives are not obliged, quote, to carry water for anti-Semites and apologists for America-hating autocrats, unquote. I thought Mitch McConnell was an expert at carrying water.
Oh,
for lots of people.
He's a camel with 30 humps, Blue Gal. He
is.
can carry water all over the place. This is from John Podhoretz. He wrote on X, quote, my mother was a Heritage Board member for 40 years. You have befouled her, you rancid wretch of an amoeba, unquote. Okay, he's a bad writer. Yep. And then he deleted that post a few days later.
Because
Why?
He reminded people who his mother was.
Yeah. And
Midge Decter has a history.
Yeah.
Of being a right-wing nut job.
We don't talk about Midge, Blue Gal. No.
Yeah. Depending on which pundit rag you read, Ben Shapiro either slams or blasts Tucker Carlson as an intellectual coward for coddling Nick Fuentes. This is from the Jerusalem Post. Quote, U.S. political commentator Ben Shapiro in candid conversation with the Jerusalem Post, you get a lot more likes and clicks if you are promoting an anti-Israel, anti-Jewish agenda, unquote.
Wow. You mean hate will get you clicks and likes, Blue Gal?
How did Ben Shapiro discover that?
That's very, very shocking.
Yeah.
Depending on which link you click on with Mark Levin, he either slams or calls out Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. She comes to the party now, and Nick Fuentes at the Republican Jewish Convention on November 1st, which is the sort of absurdly selective outrage from a mob of professional bigots and hate mongers and conspiracy peddlers that has not been seen around these parts since Blazing Saddles hit movie theaters decades ago.
We'll give some land to the and the but we don't want the Irish.
Then came the inevitable backlash to the backlash, which, again, just keeps publicly escalating the dark, absurdist comedy that is the Republican Party.
Again from Wired, quote, excellent statement, my friend. Proud to stand with you and Heritage. Eric Teasel, the CEO of the Center for Renewing America, which is a conservative think tank founded by Project 2025 architect and current director of the Office of Management and Budget, Russell Vought, unquote.
It's all so inbred and incestuous over there, Blue Gal.
Yeah.
It really is. And then there's this masterpiece, which almost makes it worth getting out of bed in the morning. Quote, "This is the common ground we need to rescue our republic." Prominent podcaster Brett Weinstein wrote in response to Robert's post, "Attempting to police thought, speech, and association is anti-American and will only deepen our divisions," unquote. Oh no, Blue Gal. Oh, the indignity. The outrage at this thought policing, which is why we're calling this podcast So Much for the Tolerant Right.
Did we lose a war? That's not America. That's not even Mexico.
This is the end state of a Republican Party which has been playing this game for our entire adult lives. And what makes it such a rich and terrible comedy is how this dynamic keeps repeating itself. You begin with a base of bigots and imbeciles who are driven to the polls in election after election by the rage and racism fed to them by the conservative media, right? Just gin it up.
That's the basic formula.
Yep. And yet, in election after election, instead of smashing and crushing and wiping out the scourge of minorities and liberals and feminists and immigrants and gays and trans people, whatever, who have been told over and over again, they've been told they are the root of all evil. The Republicans they elect keep compromising and doing deals.
Yeah, they keep selling out and crossing the aisle. Even
and passing a budget.
Yeah. Oh my God. They refuse to shut everything down and wipe us off the map as they told their base that they need to do.
They have to do. Yeah.
So to keep getting these idiots to the polls and keep them watching and listening, of course, since this is a for-profit enterprise, the rhetorical hysteria has to keep ratcheting upward, always upward. Hillary is running a child sex trafficking ring out of a pizza joint. Also, she murdered Vince Foster. Don't know if you heard. She killed Vince Foster. Obama is a Kenyan commie sleeper cell who's going to kick down your door and take your guns away day one. Also, Solyndra and, of course, Benghazi, Blue Gal, and Benghazi.
Right.
Yep.
And turn your kids gay and cut off your child's wiener at kindergarten.
All the things. Yep.
Yeah. But they don't call it a race to the bottom for nothing because it is a race. Remember how Fox freaked out over Newsmax gaining on them after the 2020 election? This is from the Pointer News Service, November of 2020. Quote, "Should Fox News be worried about Trump supporters turning to Newsmax?" Mm-hmm. The network has become a favorite of President Donald Trump's Twitter feed, while he occasionally claims Fox News isn't what it used to be.
Well,
so is there anything to all this? Is Newsmax actually making a dent? Well, this is true. Fox News' ratings for certain time slots have dipped a bit since the election, while Newsmax has seen flashes of rating success. For example, it had a night last week when more than 1 million people were watching. Mm-hmm. To be clear, that's like a third of those who are watching Fox News on a typical night. But it's quite the leap for a network that very recently was drawing fewer than 60,000 viewers a night. So they went from 60,000 to over 1 million.
Boom.
For one night. Newsmax has become comfort food for staunch Trump supporters because it shamelessly promotes baseless conspiracy theories about election fraud. That's why Trump loves it too. For the moment, Newsmax might be causing a bit of a headache for Fox News.
Yeah.
Unquote.
And based on my personal experience with MAGA people around here, their loyalties can be switched off and on like a light switch. Mm-hmm. They went from loving Megyn Kelly and masturbating to her to hating Megyn Kelly, thinking she was as bad as that Rachel Maddox. Is that her name? That lesbian? Yeah. But Tucker Carlson is a great guy. We should definitely pay attention to him. So they go, and Fox has gotten too goddamn liberal, Blue Gal. Yeah. Too goddamn liberal. Just like that. And why? Why were the moron MAGA base mad at Fox? Why? It's because for once, Fox did not lie to them. They're supposed to lie to them. Fox reported the 2020 Arizona results correctly. And MAGA threw a temper tantrum because that meant Trump was going to lose. Fox told them stuff they didn't want to hear, which violates the basic compact they've always had with their viewers. And the MAGA base went shopping for another propaganda network who would tell them bigger and better lies. And they found one. And everyone involved in this horrible, grotesque farce relearned what they already knew. You gotta keep the base happy. And the only way to do that is to lie to them all the time about everything. So the caravans are coming, and kids are having sex change operations at recess, and they're eating the dogs, and they're eating the cats, Blue Gal.
Right.
Isn't that a shame?
But rhetoric isn't enough. The base wants someone who will publicly crush, troll, and humiliate their enemies in tangible ways that make those enemies cry.
Mm-hmm.
And they want that someone to promise them everything. They want their dear leader to make all their dreams come true. Cheap gas, cheap groceries, great jobs, great health care, free IVF, and above all, in the name of freedom, they want someone who will empower them to be the horrible, ignorant, loudmouth racists in public that they've always been in private. And this answers a question that I've had for the past couple of months. When J.D. Vance brought up Pocahontas again.
Yeah.
And I thought, does anybody even remember that slur? And by the way, that's a totally racist slur, and it didn't really hit. And really, you know, she's Elizabeth Warren isn't running for anything anymore.
Doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter. It's the hits. It's reminding everyone that you can be racist and misogynist and punch a liberal all at once.
Yeah. That's the whole game.
And that's what they want.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because for decades, they were fed this nonsense by conservative media, all the red meat by conservative media, but we're told basically to keep it on the down low.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? People like Rick Wilson say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew they were crazy, but we needed them for elections. So, you know, we kept them shoeless and ignorant in the basement until we needed them. So we put them back in the basement. So they goddamn well knew who the base were. These people wanted the freedom to speak loudly and proudly about everyone they hated in exactly the same way the U.S. government propaganda talked about the Japanese during World War II. Think about it. Sinister, barbaric, subhuman, killing machines who should be wiped out wholesale. Mm-hmm. Demonization without any limits at all because this was war. This, to MAGA morons, is what freedom of speech actually means. Except eventually World War II came to an end. You might have read about it. There was a formal surrender, and 15 years later, believe it or not, Toyota was starting to sell cars in America.
Yeah.
But in the MAGA war, there's no practical end to the MAGA war, the war that MAGA is fighting, because the war they're having is a war with the future, with an idea, with progress and tolerance and science. And as their forever war on the future drags on and on and on, the list of enemies they need to blame gets longer, and the rhetoric they use to attack those enemies gets uglier.
And so every time the fascist party lurches further right to feed the base's addiction to enemies and conspiracy, it alienates just a few party members because that was the line they told themselves they'd never cross.
Uh-huh.
Nick Fuentes.
Each of them has their own line. You know, for Liz Cheney, it was storming the U.S. Capitol.
Yeah.
She was okay with everything up to that point. Completely cool with all of it right up to that point. But that was her line. And then she became our very best friend for some reason.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway.
But the minute they try to police the speech of the ever more openly Nazi right, then they become the thought police. And all of their own outspoken defense of LGBTQ plus hate speech, or racist hate speech, or xenophobic hate speech, or misogynist hate speech gets thrown right back at them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were all about freedom. But Raphael Edward Cruz over here wants to DEI thought police us about the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
What's your beef against the Nazis, Ted Cruz? So much for the tolerant right. Right. And once again, the ratchet is cranked one more notch, further towards crazy, because the MAGA mob is always hungry and needs feeding.
Mm-hmm. Now, all that is unassailably true. And to me, incredibly funny in a horrible, horrible kind of way. But all that being said, the most sublime reaction of all, for me personally, came from over in Never Trump land. Now, you may all remember once upon a time, a long time ago, the Republican base handed the keys over to Donald Trump. And when that happened, when it turned out that the base loved them some fucking Donald Trump, a tiny handful of lifelong loyal party members who used to shit on us for a living got themselves run out of the place. And they were probably given jobs in the legacy media and tens of millions of dollars worth of media support for their startups and their Never Trump websites, right? They got all the goodies. And almost without exception, Stuart Stevens being the only exception I can think of, all their alibis were identical. This was a total shock. No one could have predicted the party base would spontaneously turn into brainwashed, racist zombies who would elect a monster like Trump. All of us good Republicans were taken completely by surprise. If only there had been some kind of warning, Blue Gal, if only someone had sounded the alarm earlier.
Yeah.
And all of us who had been involved in politics since way, way early days and had been writing about what was going on with the GOP and the monster that was growing inside of it and the media for decades, we all stood up on our little blogs as one and we yelled as loud as we could, "You lying assholes. You built this thing. Mm-hmm. How dare you pretend you never knew? Your only job was to know what was going on inside your own goddamn party.
Yeah.
You were the people who made a living feeding red meat to the base. And we could all see it because it was all happening right out in the open. Limbaugh, Gingrich, Fox News, Falwell, all of it out in the open for anyone to see. But they got away with it, didn't they?
Yeah.
They got away with it because, first of all, way too many liberals were willing to let them off the hook scot-free. Oh, you're our friends now. Come on in. Run our party for us. And more importantly, the complicit legacy media desperately needed someone who was camera savvy, who would come in and explain Trump, but without, very important, without talking about the 50-year-long trajectory that led to Trump.
And now that the Ben Shapiros and Mark Levins of the right are pretending to be shocked and horrified to learn that there are raging anti-Semites in their ranks, you'll never guess what those same never-Trumpers who swore they never knew that their party was full of bigots and lunatics are saying now. They're saying, "You lying assholes, you built this thing. How dare you pretend you never knew? You were the people feeding red meat and conspiracy theories to the base." And we could all see it because it was all happening right out in the open.
Yeah. Yeah. I swear to God, they're just stealing my blog from 2017.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, and pretending we don't exist at all, Blue Gal.
Yeah, I know.
That we never did this thing. And you know what? If that isn't high comedy, I don't know what is, Blue Gal.
Yeah. There's a couple things happening here that I think are worth discussing.
Uh-huh.
One is the real problem that Jewish voters throughout the spectrum from far right to far left are having with how Bibi Netanyahu is behaving.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, that spectrum does not match up to, there are far right people who have problems with how the war is going. There are far left people that have problems with how everything's going on in Gaza. And there's a crisis of identity going on right now in that world. The other thing is Donald Trump is fading.
Yes.
Shelley Adelson was one of the biggest donors to the Republican Party in history.
Yes, he was. And his wife carried on this tradition after
his wife gave $100 million to Trump in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
$100 million. And his widow, I should say, his widow. Where's that money going to go? And that's a huge question. That's why Ted Cruz is at the Conservative Jewish Conference in Vegas. That's why the Conservative Jewish Conference is in Vegas, is to make it convenient for Shelley Adelson's widow. That totally why.
Well, and I was just going to say the split in the party, and we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, which was, this reminds me a little bit of the split when Tom DeLay was becoming a spent force, which was some people want to get out from under that collapsing structure as quick as possible. But if you get out too quick, you're a dead person.
Right.
But if you don't get out in time, you're crushed.
Right.
So you end up with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene inventing a whole new identity for herself outside the party, where she was just an innocent victim of some scurrilous internet propaganda about QAnon. And she was never really one of those people. And she thinks that her people need health care right now. And
and she gets invited on CNN and The View, and mainstream media just immediately embraces her.
Of course they
as
do.
Absolutely wonderful, because they need a good Republican.
Yeah.
And if it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, fine.
They'll take it. They'll take it. But there is that ratchet just keeps turning, and the ratchet is always driven by what will keep the maximum number of these brainwashed racist zombies on side and watching our show, listen to our podcast. And every tick of that ratchet is a line that somebody is not willing to cross.
Right.
And then they jump outside the party and they start criticizing what the core just did, and they become the outsiders. They become the thought police. And that split is real. Well,
and I'm wondering what calculations Tucker Carlson is making.
I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
He's got a dumb podcast that I don't know how many people listen to it or how devoted Tucker Carlson's audience is to him.
He's a rich
personally.
man. Yeah.
Is he gaining an audience by having Nick Fuentes on? He might be.
Is he gaining attention?
He's getting a lot of attention.
He's getting
attention.
For
sure. It's negative attention, but he's getting attention, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, he's getting attention, and he is certainly putting himself back in the spotlight.
Yep.
And he is being contrarian, which a whole bunch of bigots on the right love.
Love that. Yep.
And he's doing what Trump did in a kind of way, which was, and let's face it, the party establishment is now Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what did Trump do? He attacked the party establishment. George Bush lied us into this war. It wasn't our fault. He did it. He did it to you.
And who's the party establishment now?
Ben Shapiro.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, you think he's Ben Shapiro? Yeah.
But he's setting. He's a fading force. He's a setting sun.
Well, and he's an albatross at this point after Tuesday.
Exactly. So who do you attack if you want to get in good with the base? You attack the people who try to thought police you. We try to tell you what to think. You try to tell you that you're a bad person just because you're a raging bigot. And suddenly you have the same split that happened when Trump showed. They're trying to replicate the Trump dynamic.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson's trying to do that. Who is the respectable member of the party? And what can I say to them? Like I talked about Megyn Kelly with blood coming out of everywhere.
Yeah, right.
What can I do to or John McCain not being a war hero? Say something outrageous to the respectable members of the party.
Yeah.
And the assholes will love you. And the assholes are now, let's face it, 60% of that party, 70% of that party. Anyway,
let's do a news roundup.
Let's do a news roundup. I love these news roundups, especially with you, darling.
Thank you, darling. From Newsweek, quote, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has said he would impose a 100% tariff on New Yorkers moving to Texas.
Yeah.
After the polls close tomorrow night, I will impose a 100% tariff on anyone moving to Texas from New York City, the Republican wrote on X Monday night.
And on the broadcast today, we talked about how exactly do you do that? How exactly do you impose a tariff on the state level of someone who's moving to your state? And by the way, thank you for driving all the millionaires who are going to flee New York because of Mamdani, making sure they'd never show up in your state again. Way to go, man. I mean, Texas is just a whole different kind of crazy. This is from Fox News 26 California. Quote, the Madera County Sheriff's Office has arrested Joshua David Kemper, a youth pastor from Coarse Gold, on charges of sexual abuse involving a 15-year-old girl. Following a month-long investigation, detectives say 47-year-old Kemper had engaged in a sexual relationship with the victim between March and July of 2025. They also say the incidents happened at the church, the victim's home, and inside Kemper's vehicle, unquote. Now, what was not reported on Fox News 26 California is that this same asshole said Christians shouldn't feel safe with LGBTQ people in their churches.
Of course.
And he's one of them. Isn't always one of them, Blue Gal.
I would like to racially profile these Baptist pedophiles.
Yeah. They all come out of the same mold, don't they? Yep.
Remember back in July in what might have been considered an act of unsurpassed cowardice, but is now just shrugged off as the price of doing business under the Trump regime, that Paramount paid Donald Trump $16 million to settle a ridiculous lawsuit over 60 Minutes editing a Kamala Harris interview. Well, this is from The Guardian. Quote, the CBS News program 60 Minutes heavily edited down an interview with Donald Trump that aired on Sunday night, his first sit-down with the show in 5 years. Trump sat down with correspondent Norah O'Donnell for 90 minutes, but only about 28 minutes were broadcast. A full transcript of the interview was later published along with a 73-minute-long extended version online. While 60 Minutes traditionally cuts down interviews, these edits are particularly notable because exactly 1 year before Trump was interviewed by O'Donnell at his Mar-a-Lago resort on Friday, he had sued CBS over the editing of a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris, then the vice president, which he alleged had been deceptively edited to help her chances in the presidential election. During the interview, in a clip that did not air on the broadcast, Trump needled CBS over the settlement and repeated his claims against the network. Actually, 60 Minutes paid me a lot of money. And you don't have to put this on because I don't want to embarrass you, and I'm sure you're not, Trump said. But 60 Minutes was forced to pay me a lot of money because they took her answer that was so bad. It was election changing 2 nights before the election. And they put a new answer in, and they paid me a lot of money for that. You can't have fake news. You got to have legit news. And I think it's happening. During another unaired portion of the interview, Trump praised the sale of CBS to the Ellison family and said the network's new editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss, was a great new leader. The U.S. president said he didn't know Weiss, but told O'Donnell, I hear she's a great person. I think you have a great new leader, frankly, who's the young woman that's leading your whole enterprise. It's a great, from what I know, he said. I think one of the best things to happen is this show and new ownership, CBS and new ownership, Trump said. I think it's the greatest thing that's happened in a long time to a free and open and good press. O'Donnell did not directly respond to the president's comments about Weiss and the Ellisons. Among Trump's many answers that were edited out were several comments questioning the integrity of the 2020 presidential election, which he said was rigged and stolen. At one point in the interview, in a segment that was not aired on the broadcast, they edited out a lot, didn't they?
They edited out everything, everything that was fun.
Trump tried to get O'Donnell to acknowledge that crime was down in Washington, D.C., where she lives. You live here, you know that too, Trump said, asking O'Donnell, do you see a difference? I think I've been working too hard, O'Donnell responded. I haven't been out and about that much. I get in my car and I go to work and I go home. Trump said that's not a fair answer and insisted that O'Donnell noticed a difference, unquote. During another moment omitted from the broadcast, by the way, Trump held up a printout of a Truth Social post he wrote as proof he had ended multiple wars.
Yeah, that network
He's
is dead.
crazy.
That network is dead. She humiliated herself. I'm sure they just, they shoved her out there and said, here are your marching orders. Don't confront him. Don't push him. Don't ask him to, when he lies and lies and lies and lies and lies, just roll with it, get through it. But this was supposed to be not just 60 Minutes, but the media itself was supposed to be our first line of defense against fascism and against tyranny. And they've just become either a completely empty, hollow paper tiger, or they've become complicit, which is just about
absolutely complicit, and that's what CBS has become.
And it's a tragedy because it didn't need to be this way.
No,
if they were so concerned about mergers and money and making sure Republican voters felt they were being treated fairly by treating their lies as legitimate points of view, they destroyed their own industry. Yep. It's garbage now, almost entirely. This is from the National Catholic Reporter. Quote, for the second time in less than a month, federal immigration officials have refused to allow Catholic leaders to administer communion to immigrants held inside the Broadview ICE detention center near Chicago, even as more than 2,000 faithful gathered outside the facility on Saturday morning, November 1st, to pray, sing, and demand access for clergy. The Mass, organized by the Coalition for Spiritual and Public Leadership, drew a crowd that spilled across the sidewalks of the industrial stretch outside the detention center. Aztec dancers opened the ceremony, followed by a solemn procession of more than 50 priests from the Chicago Archdiocese, deacons, and women of the church who joined worshipers for an outdoor celebration of the Eucharist. But as the crowd prayed for those inside, the group's main request to bring communion to detainees was again rejected by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, echoing a refusal to the group on October 11th, unquote. That is just disgusting.
Yeah.
That is appalling. This is not something I believe, but Catholics really do, and it's really important and central to their religion. And this is just them behaving like the fascists that they are.
Yep. From The Independent, quote, CBS News fired 8 on-air personalities in latest layoffs under new leader Barry Weiss. All of them are women. Meanwhile, a CBS News producer who was fired as part of the network-wide cuts took to social media Wednesday to suggest that executives were engaging in race-based layoffs, claiming that every producer from his team who was laid off is a person of color, while his white colleagues were relocated to other jobs, unquote.
Yep. This is from The Wrap. Quote, NBC News eliminated its teams dedicated to covering issues affecting Black, Asian American, Latino, and LGBTQ groups as part of its layoffs of about 150 staffers on Wednesday, according to 2 sources familiar with the matter. A significant culling as the Peacock network separates from its sister network, MSNBC, unquote.
From Ayana Ishmael via social media, quote, I was laid off from Teen Vogue this week, alongside multiple other phenomenal team members. At our summit, I was asked how it felt to be one of 2 Black women left and what it meant for representation. Now there are no Black women at Teen Vogue, and that is incredibly painful to think about.
Yeah.
Unquote. They got rid of their politics.
Yeah. They folded Teen Vogue into Vogue and just got rid of this, which is again, appalling. Just appalling.
Yep.
From Raw's story, quote, federal workers must now clearly show support for Trump on year-end reviews. Speaking of litmus tests, the Trump administration has added a new requirement to its performance reviews this year that require workers in the Department of Health and Human Services to produce evidence that they clearly and demonstrably support implementation of President Donald Trump's agenda, unquote.
This is off the list, but they are now controlling access of reporters. We know they've done this at the Pentagon, but they are now controlling access of reporters to Caroline Leavitt's office. She's the press secretary.
Yeah.
That's how bad it's gotten.
We can't allow the media to reach the press secretary.
No.
Who knows what might happen?
Yes. This is the press secretary's office. No press.
Mm-hmm. This is the war room. There's no fighting in here. This is the war room.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. This exchange via Aaron Rupar, quote, reporter Manu Raju asked Speaker Mike Johnson, last week you were very critical of Biden's use of the auto pen and pardons. But Trump admitted on 60 Minutes to not knowing he pardoned a crypto billionaire who pleaded guilty to money laundering. Does that also concern you? Mike Johnson replies, I don't know anything about that. I didn't see the interview. I'm not sure, unquote. And Mike Johnson not knowing things is now just a joke.
It's now a meme. One of these days we'll do a supercut of just him saying.
Well, people are doing them. You don't need to. We don't need to do one. They're out there. Yeah.
Excellent.
Mike Johnson, I don't know.
Now, Ben Shapiro, the aforementioned Ben Shapiro, who's very angry about Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, he also reports that, quote, Democrats are being blamed by their own side for the shutdown, unquote. Oh, no, actually, it's just one Democrat, and his name is John Fetterman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be primaried.
Yeah. Hurry up quick. I know he just got elected, but, pig in a poke, baby.
Yep.
Pig in a poke.
Yep. And in the ongoing back and forth over Republican plans to starve the poor, first Trump refused to pay out SNAP benefits to tens of millions of people, even though there was a contingency fund set up for exactly this purpose. Mm-hmm. Then a judge said he had to do it. Then, because he's a fascist toddler with brain syphilis, Trump threw a tantrum and said, fine, but I'm only paying half and it might take months. Then there was this on Truth Social. This was on Tuesday. Quote, SNAP benefits, which increased by billions and billions of dollars manyfold during crooked Joe Biden's disaster term of office due to the fact that they were haphazardly handed, quote unquote, to anyone for the asking, as opposed to just those in need, which is the purpose of SNAP, exclamation point, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up the government, which they can easily do and not before. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT, unquote.
Yeah.
And then his bureau said, oh, no, we're doing it. And we aren't violating court order. Mm-hmm. And a nonprofit pointed out, you got the numbers wrong. You actually have enough to give out 65%, not 50%. Uh-huh. So they issued a correction on that. And we don't know when people are going to get these benefits.
Right. Food.
And I really have to add to this. I have to add to this because I had food stamps. We talked about this on Tuesday, I know. Uh-huh. But I had to take birth certificates for every member of my household.
Yeah.
And I had to take social security numbers for every member of my household, and my bank statement, and my mortgage statement. And, I couldn't have so many assets, right? I couldn't have assets. They counted how much money I had in the bank to make sure I qualified for food stamps. It is not a it's not a handout.
No, it is absolutely not. And
he didn't mention COVID in his True Social. That's why.
That's right, exactly.
People were not buying groceries. So they said, we're going to give out food. We're going to give out SNAP benefits so people can actually get food.
Right.
While they're locked in their houses.
And households got cash.
Yeah.
I mean, of course he's lying by omission because he lies about everything. But this is because there was a plague and people were starving and we had to find a way to get, this is when local people, I participated in a couple of days. I think Junior Dude helped me out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bagging up meals for people who were out of school.
Yeah.
And so we took boxes and boxes of people who lived in terrible conditions. These were lots of poor people. And lots of them didn't want to answer the door because, who knows where we're from.
Right.
And these are people who are already terrified of the government.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so easy to forget how hard those days were and how long they were and how people were in desperate need of food and how lines were miles long for food banks. That's what he's just tossing off as like it was just a big ripoff. It wasn't intended.
And all these congressmen that got, loans that were then forgiven. Yeah. Gigantic loans.
Bribes. Now, there's a local news story that we thought you might want to hear about. This is from across the Mississippi River, reported by KSDK, St. Louis News, but it's about J.B. Pritzker. Quote, Pritzker breaks ground on state-backed grocery. What? In Venice, that's a little town in Illinois, calling it a revival for forgotten towns. The Illinois governor says the project proves government can help the free market work where private investors walk away. The Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on Wednesday called it a revival tent moment for Venice, Illinois, a town that has seen its population and businesses declining for decades. The governor was in the Metro East community to break ground on Venice Market, a $5.9 million project combining $2.4 million in state grants and $3.5 million in private investment. The new grocery store, part of the Illinois Grocery Initiative, aims to provide affordable, locally sourced food options in an area long classified as a food desert. Mm-hmm. In Venice, where the last full-service grocery store shut down years ago, the words fresh produce have long meant a trip across the bridge. That means going to a different state.
Going to St. Louis, right. Metro East is on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River, right.
Pritzker said the initiative reflects his broader belief that government can play a supporting role in helping private enterprise succeed. I am very focused on delivering lower grocery prices, Pritzker said. Sounds like someone who won a mayor's race in New York.
Yeah, it sure does.
Sometimes government doesn't do it as well as the private sector, but I also believe that government has to do some things to help the private sector be successful. Damn, that bumper sticker right there.
Yep,
the Democratic governor emphasized that his administration's approach to addressing food insecurity stops short of government ownership. I'm a capitalist, he said. I'm somebody who was in business before I became governor. I'm not a believer the government should do everything, but there are some things government has to do, unquote.
And I got to tell you something. Yeah. East St. Louis, which is on the Illinois side of the river, is hardcore poverty.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely.
It is. And there's a vibrant community there. I'm not saying it's, I'm not denigrating the people of East St. Louis. But the fact that this large area of East St. Louis has had no grocery store
for years,
eons, is not surprising to me.
Well, I think I told you about one of the many circus-like performances that took place at City Hall when I worked for the city of Chicago about putting a Walmart.
Oh yeah,
without approval from
in a food desert, right?
And all the good government people were up in arms about Walmart's destroying small businesses, et cetera, which is true. Mm-hmm. And the people from the neighborhood said, look, all you good government people had 30 years, 20 years to put a grocery store where we could get fresh food at a reasonable price in our neighborhood or near enough for us to get to it. And you never did a goddamn thing.
Right.
Walmart shows up. They're going to have food that my kids can eat at a reasonable price and diapers and all the other stuff that Walmart has. Basically, shut up. If you're not willing to show up and actually solve the problem that you're always complaining about, then shut up when someone else does it for you.
Yeah. And they were also bringing $14 an hour jobs to that community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was a lesson for the people who talk a good game and are sincere.
Yeah, mean well. I understand that. Right.
You can't do that. I mean, this is what we learned when we put in a manufacturing high school in the Austin neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is you need buy-in from the local neighborhoods.
Right.
You need to talk to the pastors and the grandparents and find out what they really need and let them guide the process. And if it turns out to be something you don't believe in your little playbook is exactly what they should have wanted,
no.
Back off. Give them what they know they need. Help them in every way you can.
And be very, very aware of white saviorhood.
Exactly.
And avoid that. Because that is not your job.
No, your job is to help them with their job.
Yeah.
Your job is to enable them as far as possible to succeed and then get out of their way.
Yeah. And let them succeed. Right. Each week we post to our Patreon page and website an Internet Kitty sent in by you, the listeners. This week's Internet Kitty is named Dusty. Now, Dusty, earlier this year, moved in from the big outdoors. We think he might have been abandoned. And he moved in with a former Internet Kitty, Eleanor. Dusty is fitting in great, and he and Eleanor have had absolutely zero issues being housemates.
Ooh.
In the beginning, he had quirky mannerisms, and his owners have come to realize that he may have some hearing issues. But he's doing fine, and he's actually started sleeping on the human bed over the last few nights.
Oh.
So he's making himself at home. He's also fluffed up for winter, which we know is based on daylight length, not really temperature, because it's still in the 70s most days. But he's twice the poof he was a couple months ago, because he's inside eating regularly and so forth. And his tail has about quadrupled in floof. Fortunately, he, like his housemate Eleanor, loves being brushed and combed.
Aww.
And in this picture, this is pre-floof from August.
Pre-floof, yeah.
Yes, and in this picture, he's waiting for a phone call from the freshly poured cat food people regarding his suggestion that they create an on-demand self-pouring bag for in-home testing.
That would be a game-changing technology.
Game changer, absolutely.
Yep.
Of course, Dusty Eats Freshly Poured Cat Food, our fake sponsor. Whether you serve Pet Store Perfection or Dollar Store Dreck, your cat will sit on the kitchen floor and demand that the food they eat is only freshly poured.
Freshly poured, freshly poured. Oh, my Lord, it's freshly poured.
You can visit Dusty at our Patreon page, patreon.com/ProLeftPod, or our website, proleftpod.com. Thank you again to Bob Seska and
Nicole Sandler
and Brad.
And the Bradcast. Brad and Desi and Digby, of course.
Yeah.
It's just so nice to be able to know there are people out there who are on the same wavelength and have been in the same fight for as long as we have and are still at it and are still in there with their chins out and their fists up.
Yep. By the way, you can send your Internet Kitty, dog, or other pet to us at our email address, proleftpodcast@gmail.com, where you can also write to both of us. Feel free to write us. We love hearing from you. Be aware that if you write to us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service. Go Postal Unions! Letter on the air unless you say otherwise.
And your weekly friendly reminder about our gourmet coffee guideline. If you're able to treat yourself to an espresso-based beverage, we ask that you consider treating us to one as well. This is not charity. This is how we do what we do. This is how we support the work that we do. If you can spare just $5 a month or more, we'd be very grateful for your support at patreon.com/ProLeftPod. Another thing you can do for us is to help continue us on our growth journey to becoming the #1 podcast in America.
No, we're not.
No.
I'm not on that journey.
Number 87th biggest podcast in America.
Cool.
Share our show on social media. If you love this podcast, introduce it to a friend. They might get along. And thank you so much for doing that and helping us grow.
Hey, Driftglass, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Blue Gal, the Internet Kitties are looking forward to the day when Freshly Poured is available in commie grocery stores from coast to coast.
Let's think about living.
Think about living.
Let's think about loving.
Think about loving.
Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the popping and the loving, lovey-dovey.
Lovey-dovey-dovey.
Let's forget about the wine and the crying, the shooting and the dying, and the fellow with a switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left podcast is recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright 2024-25, GGBG Productions.